And the vessel that he made of clay was marred in the hand of the potter. So he made it again into another vessel, as it seemed good to the potter to make. Jeremiah chapter 18 verse 4. We are a people called by God to positively impact and influence our generation. We are a living spring to a thirsty world, a place where imperfect people find true joy, genuine friendship, and practical truth for living from the Bible. This is our year of transformation. Considering the world's forecast, this theme seems a bit ironic. However, as God's covenant people, we have entered into the potter's house to be turned into vessels for His glory. Once again, God is going to watch over His word to perform it. This transformation will be fueled by a mind revolution, a technology revolution, a post-pandemic necessity to reinvent ministry work, and our approach to life's pursuits. We are favored to be transformed and ultimately become agents of transformation. God is molding us to reveal His purpose, unlock potential, and grace us to show off His glory. We are being empowered to persevere through the vicissitudes of life. Like clay in the potter's hands, God's molding is painful. In the potter's house, it's messy. There is pounding, spinning, stretching, pressing, fire. However, the storms were not designed to hurt us. The ultimate goal is to transform us into vessels of honor. We are in a season of intimacy with God, loving and living His word. Our families will thrive. Our communities will be grace-filled. Our churches will make transgenerational impact. We will reach next levels in our education, career, and businesses. Excellence will be our standard. We are being transformed to reflect God's goodness. This year, the world will see a masterpiece, a piece of the Master. 2023, our year of transformation. Let's get ready for the Word of God as we welcome our pastor, Reverend Isaac Ayesu.
For the past 2 weeks, this is the third week, we've been talking about this amount of Thanksgiving. And the first week, one of the things or the theme was a daily requirement. And we continued last week Sunday and we said, why must we thank God? Why do we have to thank God? And today we want to look at, can you thank God or can you thank the Lord in the midst of adversity? Can you? Can you thank God in the midst of adversity? When life is weighing you down, when your bank account is saying red, when you've been turned down, when your appointment was not given, when you saw a lot of applications, you have applied for many jobs and many positions, and yesterday they said to you that we are sorry. Can you still go on your knees and thank God? In the midst of adversity, can somebody thank God? Or you can only thank God when everything is okay with you. It is, you see, people of God, Yvonne, it is okay for us to come to church and worship God and shout for joy and testify about the goodness of God to our friends and our loved ones when everything is okay. But can we also tell people, our friends, that God is good in spite of the negative things that is happening in our life? Can you? Can you thank the Lord in the midst of adversity? Can you? Amanda, can you thank God in the midst of adversity? Dr. Daniel, can you thank God in the midst of adversity? Gifty, can you thank God in the midst of adversity? Phyllis, can you thank God where it looks as if everything is not going the way it should go? Can you still thank God? You know, when our prayers have been answered, it is not difficult for you to thank God. When everything is okay with your children, you know what? You wake up and your mouth is full of thanksgiving. When that appointment or that application has gone through, you wake up and your heart is ready to rejoice. But when you have been turned down, can you still wake up and say, God, you remain the same, you are God? In the midst of adversity, can you thank God? You see, it is actually not difficult to thank God when all is well with you, or when your prayers have been answered. John C. Maxwell is an author, he's a pastor. He said, thank God for the tough times. Thank God for the tough times. What he meant was, thank God for the difficult moment. Thank God. They are the reasons you are there. The reason why we need to thank God is that, listen, when you find yourself in a situation that is so compromising, a situation that weighs you down, a situation that tells you that there is nothing good coming, then you say to yourself that, God, I thank you. The reason why things are not working is because that is the reason why you are there. I say, thank God for the tough times. They are the reasons you are there. To be a leader, and he's an author who has written a lot of books on leadership. John Calvin Maxwell said, thank God for the tough times. They are the reasons you are there, to be the leader. If everything was going well, the people wouldn't need you. Do you know that, people of God, sometimes God will create certain things, certain challenges, certain problems in our lives, in our marriages, in our finances, so that we will become champions? Listen, when Goliath came against the children of Israel, God was okay, because God was going to raise a champion out of Israel. But God prepared David in the wilderness. The reason why things are becoming tough and it looks as if the heat is getting hotter and hotter is because God is preparing you for you to come and defeat a Goliath, so that you can become the king of Israel. Can you thank God in the midst of adversity? Can you? Or you will easily give up? Some of us, when we find ourselves in a compromising situation and things are not really going the way we want it to go, and then we begin to say all sort of things. Sometimes we even doubt the credibility of God. If God is God, why am I going through the things? It is not because I'm a sinful person. That is even pride for you to think that you are not a sinful person. It is even pride for you to think that I have not sinned, and why am I going through the things that I'm going through? Listen, people of God, we talk about Job, we read about Job. For the fact that God said that Job is a righteous man doesn't mean that Job didn't have any sin. Am I talking to somebody? The Holy Spirit just whispered this to me. You know, somebody would go, oh God, Job was a righteous man. For even him to think that he's righteous, and why is he going through the thing, is pride, and pride is sin. Dr. Daniel, pride is sin. Pride is sin. Number one, can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And we are still on. In the midst of adversity, can you thank God? Can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? Can you? Can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And there is a question to all of us. Dr. Daniel, Phyllis, Uche, Yvonne, Amanda, can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? What do I mean by can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? When you find yourself in a situation where it feels and looks as if God has deserted you, will you be able to rejoice and dance and worship the Lord? Can you sing the Lord's song? And the Lord's song simply means worship. The Lord's song simply means songs about the goodness, about the greatness, about the awesomeness of God. Can you still sing those songs when you find yourself in that darkest moment? Can you still sing the Lord's song? Can you? No, before I say that, do you find, is this something you can relate to? What I'm saying to us this morning, please, people of God, those of us, can you relate to what I'm saying this morning? Do you find yourself in a dark place? And if you find yourself in the dark place, will you be able to sing the Lord's song? Can you say that you are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. When the bailiffs are coming for you, where your creditors are coming for you, where financially you are struggling, where you look at your children, it's like there are things that needs to be fixed in the life of your children, where you are struggling to pay your rent, you want a mortgage, but you look at your financial status and you know that there is no way I can get this mortgage. Can you still thank God and bless him for who he is? Can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? Can you will you be able to sing, I am blessed, oh Lord, when I wake up in the morning, I am blessed? Can you tell somebody you are blessed when everything is against you? Because to some of us, blessing means that everything is okay with us. Can you sing the Lord's song? In Psalm 137 from the verse 1 to 4, and I'm reading from the Old King James. And it's a song that is a verse that is very, I mean, you know, the reggae guys, I mean, was it Peter Tosh? One of them, is it Jimmy Cliff? He sang a song and he won awards about this song in the Bible. He said, by the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, yea, we wept. When we remembered Zion, we hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. You know what the harps are? The harps are musical instruments. When we found ourselves in a place of captivity, we couldn't thank God. We couldn't sing the songs of the Lord because there was nothing to thank God about. That's what they were saying, the children of Israel. For they that carried us away captive required of us a song, and they that wasted us required us of a myth, laughter, saying, sing us one of the songs of Zion. Because the songs of Zion, Dr. Daniel, was that to worship you I live, to worship you I live to worship you. Oh, those were the songs of Zion. Mabo wudi mabo mani saway Israel osahini mabo wudi mabo mani sawa oduman kuba sombaji wa ye nyumo anopeya yehuni ayanka o onyamio wa wenye won sanu adwuma eye wawa wona wodi yambani nyina chaya wa na wodi umata na wu yewe Israel kunkru hine Abraham Yankopon Isaac nyamia Jacob nyami Israel nyamia wusana ufatasie yudina ya onyamie gwama wokumno ogwama wusana ufata onyamie gwama wokumno. That is the song of the Lord. I will lift up your name higher. We will lift up your name high. Oh, great Jehovah, you are wonderful. And can you sing this song when everything is going against you? Can you still lift the name of the Lord? How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? How? Now watch this. He said, and they that wasted us required of us myth, saying, sing us one of the songs. It's like they were making mockery of them, of Zion, the songs of Zion. And then the Israelites answered and said, how shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? How can we thank God in this unpleasant situation? How can we put a smile on our face when I am struggling financially? How can I bless the Lord when my prayers have not been answered? How How do I bring a thanks offering to the Lord when I don't have a tangible testimony? How? Can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? When you find yourself in adversity, when everything is against you, when financially you tend to the left and to the right and there is no help, and you ask yourself, when can you still wake up and go on your knees and say, Jesus, you are God? Can you? They were telling the Babylonians that, look at where we find ourselves. We have no reason and any cause to thank God. Are you making fun of us that we should sing the long song? How can I sing the long song when I find myself in this unpleasant situation? But today I came to tell you, the church, that if only you can sing the Lord's song in the midst of adversity, the glory of God will be made manifest in your life. Because life is not about you, life is not about your circumstances, life is not about your situation. Because I've come to realize that people of God, and to Uche, many a time the things that we go through, or the thing we go through, are not for us. It's so that it can become a blessing to somebody. We read about the Jobs, we talk about the David, we talk about the Joseph. They went through not necessarily because of them, so that today you and I can stand and look at their situation and make them as a point of reference and say, if Joseph was able to stand, me too, I'll be able to stand. And that is why when you find yourself going through something, please be very careful, because in the midst of adversity, it is possible that you can worship the Lord. It is possible. It is possible. Because if you begin to look at life from that perspective, that you are not going through because of necessarily you, but so that tomorrow you can be a source of encouragement, a source of blessing to other people, then you go through the things that you are going through gracefully, and you can have every reason to worship Jesus. Can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? You know, the church is saying that we should bring some contribution, so that at the end of the month, because this December we are sending money to an orphanage in Ghana, we want to bless them, and that money is going to come from anywhere. It's going to come from us. And that is why next week Sunday, I'm saying this in advance, come with the help seed or help offering. We want to be a blessing to someone. We want to be a blessing to people who cannot even afford a day's meal. We want to be a blessing. I know you are going through things. I know financially you are struggling, but in the midst of adversity, can you still give? Because God is faithful. Can you still do it? Can you still do it? He said, how can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? When financially I am struggling, you are telling me to give to somebody. How can I come to church and put a smile on my face when my marriage is struggling? How can I come, and when they are dancing unto the Lord, I can dance? I can't dance because all is not well with me. Can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? I came to encourage somebody that if only you will see life from this perspective, that it is not necessarily about you, and that if you can put your weight and your burdens aside and begin to lift your name and bless the Lord will give you a testimony out of that test. Because sometimes the reason why our blessings and our breakthroughs have delayed is because God is waiting for you to come to that place where you find yourself in a straight land, and yes, though you can sing the Lord's song. Today, please, I came to encourage you. Try and sing the Lord's song in a strange land. Don't let the enemy steal your joy. Don't let the enemy take your praise because of circumstances and issues that surrounds your life. But in the midst of adversity, in a strange land, don't hang your harps, don't hang your guitar, don't put your voice away, but begin to worship Jesus and glorify his holy name. Can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? Can you? Number 2, how do you conclude after you have complained? How do you conclude after you have complained? How do you conclude? Because listen, Dr. Daniel, I've come to a place that there's nothing wrong with complaining, there's nothing wrong with crying, there's nothing wrong with saying that there's nothing wrong with being sad and being there's nothing wrong with being, sometimes you are down, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's everything wrong with when you are sad and then you end up being sad and you conclude that there is no hope. That is where the issue is. And so how do you conclude after you have complained? We all complain. Don't be deceived. The men of God, some of us, we preach faith, but sometimes there are certain things that hit us and we think twice. There is nothing wrong with thinking twice, but there's everything wrong with when you come to a place where you conclude that it is finished. So how do you conclude after you have complained? Complaining is all right. Keep complaining, keep crying, keep saying all sort of things, but it is the end that will justify. How do you conclude? In Job, last week, our sister Uche blessed us with this, but I want us to look at it again. We're going to do some jumping and flying over, so we're not going to, because it's very lengthy. So we're going to do Job 19 from the verse 7 to 11, and then when we get to 11, we'll jump from 11 and be catapulted into 21. And then from 21 we will land at 26. Job 19, 7 to 11. And then from 11 we'll jump, or we'll be catapulted, or we'll fly from 11 to 21. And from 21 we will land at 26. Hallelujah. How do you conclude after you have complained? He says, behold, I cry out of wrong, but I am not heard. I cry aloud. Can somebody relate to this? But there is no judgment. He had fenced up my way that I cannot pass, and he has set darkness in my paths. He didn't say path. This one is plural, paths, paths. He has stripped me, and this he has stripped me of my glory, that which makes you who you are, that which brings glory to a man, to a marriage. He said he has stripped me, and he was talking about God, and taking the crown from my head. He had destroyed me on every side. Listen, when it comes to my health, nothing is working for me. When it comes to my finances, nothing is working for me. When it comes to accommodation, nothing is working for me. When it comes to job, nothing is working. When it comes to my marriage, just on every side. Said he has destroyed me on every side, and I am gone, and my hope had he removed like a tree. He had also kindled his wrath against me, and he counted me unto him as one of his enemies. Now Job is referring to God, and he's saying that God sees me, Job, he sees me as an enemy, and that is why I'm going through the things that I'm going through. But look at the 20. Okay, look at the 20. We'll do 20. Look at it. I'll take it from 20. He said, my bone cleaveth to my skin and to my flesh, and I'm escaped with the skin of my teeth. That is narrow escape. Have pity upon me, have pity upon me, O ye my friends, for the hand of God has touched me. Why do ye persecute me as God, and are not satisfied with my flesh? Oh, that my words were not written, oh, that they were printed in a book, that have become a laughing stock. That's what he was saying, that they were graven with an iron pen and laid in the rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer. Now watch this, Dr. Daniel. After complaining, when you read from the verse 1, he said, I'm this, God has done that. Now he's even saying that God sees him, Job, as an enemy. He said, God has done this, he has taken my glory, he has taken the crown. He complained, but at the end of the day, Job made a statement that changed the life of Job. He said that, now watch this. He said, why do you persecute me as God? And then he was addressing his friends. Satisfied with my flesh, oh, that my words were now written, oh, that they were printed in a book, that they were graven with an iron pen and laid in a rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh I shall see God. What he was saying, that I will see the glory of God. Auntie Uche, what Job was saying, that I will see the salvation of God. What Job was saying, that I know I may be down today, but my Redeemer liveth, and I know that even at the 11th hour he will come true for me. This was the same person that said that God sees him as an enemy. But what and how do you conclude after you have complained? There is nothing wrong about complaining. There's nothing wrong about even sometimes calling God names, but you know what, it is the end that will justify the means. So Job said that God has slain me on the left, on the right. He has touched my health, my family, everything good about me is gone. In fact, I have boils all over my body. My friends don't even want to come close to me. My mouth, the way my mouth stinks, my wife doesn't even want to come close to me. But I know that my Redeemer liveth. Is somebody going through that which Job went through, or you are going through something similar, and sometimes it feels as if God is not dealing with you well, God has deserted you? But he said that I know that my Redeemer liveth. How do you conclude after you have complained? He said, Samuel, he said, I know my Redeemer. Listen, I mean, there are things that are going against me financially. I mean, I don't have a place of my own. I don't have a place of settlement. I am jumping like a grasshopper from one place to the other. Sometimes in my darkest moment, I question the life that I'm living. Have I been called by God, or I'm just doing this? But it is the end that will justify whether you have faith in God or not. But Job said, in spite of the thing that I'm going through, I know that my Redeemer liveth. Does your Redeemer lives? I know. So it is okay to complain, it is okay to cry, it is okay to say all sort of things, it's okay to post some of these things on social media, it is okay. But it is the end. How do you conclude after you have complained? He said, I know that my Redeemer liveth. And he said, yet in my flesh shall I see God. Do you know what he was saying? He said, I know, but my faith is in God. He said, what Job was trying to say, I know I'm going through, but it doesn't change who God is, because I will see the glory of God. God is still God. He's seated on the throne. How do you conclude after you have complained? It is okay to complain, but how do you conclude after the complaint? Number 3, and in the next 5 minutes I'll be out of your way, and I'm going to tell you my story. That is what I'm going to end with. That in the midst of adversity, if you can bless the Lord in the midst of adversity. I'm going to end with my story, but I want us to look at another story behind the song. A lot of us, we've heard the song, it is well with my soul, and it is well with my soul. You know, we know the song, it is well. Some of us, maybe we know the story behind the song. Oh, if you know, that is okay, but we just want to refresh our memories. For some of us, we don't even know that the story behind this song, it is well with my soul, when peace like a river attended my soul. It is well, and I'm going to share with you in the next 5 minutes, and then I will tell you my story. Because sometimes men of God will come and we preach the Bible, but I can testify, I can say with all confidence, with all boldness, that I've been in the midst of adversity, and I was able, in the dungeon of a cell, I could just rise up and say Jesus is Lord. And I'm going to share that with you. Maybe some of you, you've heard this story before. For those of you who have not heard this story, just open up your spirit, because something is about to hit you. How can it be well with your soul when all is lost? That is number 3. How? Do you know when we say it is well, it means that it is not well? No, if everything is well with somebody, how then do you tell the person that it is well? The reason why we say it is well is because it is not well. You see, the reason why we say it is well in the midst of adversity is that God is still God. That is why we say it is well. It is well because the one that sitteth on the throne is still on the throne. Nobody can move him. He's still on the throne. How can it be well with your soul when all is not well? This is Horatio Spafford. Horatio Spafford. And he was the man, the main, see, his story, he was the one that wrote the hymn, It Is Well. Now today, everybody is singing, it is well with my soul. It is well. You know, we sing it with my, you don't know what he went through. And I'm going to read to you. Horatio Spafford worshiped the Lord in the midst of adversity. Horatio Spafford, that is from 1828, he was born to 1888. He was a successful lawyer and a real estate investor in Chicago. He and his wife Anna had one son and 4 daughters and lived a life of philanthropy and service in their church until 1871. That is philanthropy. They were good people, they were giving. These were not stingy people, Dr. Daniel. They were blessing to people. So he wasn't, see, sometimes people go through and say, oh, because of their sin or because of something they have done. No, not because of anything, but because this man was a good man. The Bible is, I was going to say the Bible. Horatio Spafford was a philanthropist, him and the family. Hallelujah. Esther, you are welcome. It says, in that year, they lost their 4-year-old son to scarlet fever. This is the man that wrote the song, It Is Well With My Soul. Listen, to people of God. And a few months later, the great Chicago fire wiped out the majority of their property holdings. By the grace of God, they made it through the next 2 years until in 1873 tragedy struck again. They didn't say struck again, which means that they've been to First World War. Now they are into Second World War. The Spaffords had planned to visit Europe as a family, but business kept Horatio behind. On the voyage, the ship Anna and their 4 daughters were traveling on struck another vessel and sank rapidly. Only Anna survived. She sent a hauntingly brief telegram. You know, those days was telegram, not WhatsApp, to Horatio, bearing the words, saved alone. Which means that I am the only person alive. They lost their only son to scarlet fever. That was not enough. Now his wife and 4 daughters were going to Europe and he was going to join them. Esther, the 4 daughters died. It was only the wife that survived. Now watch this. Bearing the words, saved alone. One can only imagine Spafford's grief upon receiving the news. Some of us, even when we lose properties, not children, it must have been paralyzing. But on his own voyage to meet Anna as a ship near the place where his daughters are drowned, he was inspired. Watch this. I know. Listen, Phyllis. Spafford was inspired when he got to the place where his 4 daughters were drowned. He didn't cry. He was not singing. He didn't sing Miti mewo mewo sese mifieho Miti mewo mewo makumerito sese. He didn't sing that song. He didn't say, oh God, this was the place that I lost my 4 daughters. Oh God, why? But the Bible said, what we are just saying, he was inspired in that very same place. Listen, it must have been and he said he was inspired to write the lyrics for him. For him, it is well with my soul. Unlike many heartbreak songs, it focuses less on what was lost and more on where hope can be found. No doubt Spafford was shattered by the loss of his daughters, but I want you to listen to this carefully. But his heart turned to the faithfulness of God in the midst of loss and the work of Jesus to rescue sinners. Gifty, he says, he said, listen, no doubt Spafford was shattered by the loss. Listen, there's nothing. Do you think he wasn't sad? I believe that Esther, when he got to that spot, he shed some tears, but he didn't remain in sharing tears. He gathered himself. He rose up and said, God, I know I've lost my 4 daughters, but my faith is still in you. What we just said, he was inspired, he was motivated to write the hymn, It Is Well With My Soul. How can it be well with your soul when all is not well? Because of his faith in Christ. We said one of the reasons why we thank God is because we have faith in him. Can you bless the Lord in the midst of adversity? Now watch this. It says, the hymn does not diminish or gloss over pain and tragedy, but rather proclaim that God is present in them and greater than them. So God is present in the situation. Anything that is weighing you down, I want you to understand that God is present and that God is greater. And the reason why in the midst of adversity you can bless the Lord is because God is greater than every situation. Hallelujah. The reason why we say it is well is because it is not well. No, if it is well, Dr. Daniel, if everything is well with somebody, how then do you say it is well? So he said, it is well with my soul, with my soul. Oh, it is well with my soul. Is it truly well with your soul? Or you are telling God that your faith and your confidence is in him? Lost your 4 daughters, the same spot, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. Proud to that, you've lost your son to scarlet fever, and after that the fire destroyed almost 3/3 of your property, and yet still you have the audacity to worship God in the midst of adversity. I came to challenge somebody that in the midst of adversity, can you still thank God? Because that key to unlock that blessing is in when you are able to thank God in the midst of adversity. Now I want to share my story with you in the next 2 minutes, and I'll be out of your way. You know, sometimes, Dr. Daniel, we preach the Bible. Some of you, maybe you've heard this story before, but I'm going to share with you. The other pastors or other men of God will not share some of this. This is a very personal one. But the Lord said to me that when you are able to release your life, that which I took you through, that is where I will take you to the next level. I came to this country in 2004, Esther. I was living as an illegal immigrant. I didn't have my papers. I came on a visit visa, and I overstayed. One fateful night, it was a Wednesday, and you know that Wednesday I was in action. This is a story that Nana knows about. Esther, I was driving to church. I was part of the technical team, and the reason why I was driving to church, because I wanted to get to church on time, because I get there on time Wednesday to set up before everybody comes. And on my way, I saw a police car coming from the opposite direction, and the next minute I saw that the police car has turned. They put their siren on and they were following me, so I had to park by the roadside. They came. I was in a car with a friend that I used to work with in Watford, in Scott Hall, Kwabena. They didn't ask me anything. He just got out of the car. It was like they were coming for me, and they said something. I don't even remember some of the things they asked. They said, "Who are you?" And I was using my brother-in-law's paper to work, Frank Baden. That's Jeremy's dad, or Curtis's dad. Many a times when people ask me, I say I'm Frank Baden, but that very night, when the police people asked why, I said I'm Ayesu. And they said, do you know the insurance on this car? Something. It was insurance. And I said, I don't know. Then they said, who are you? And I said, they started searching me. In 2 minutes, Esther, they handcuffed me. This is 2008. I was handcuffed as a criminal. They handcuffed me. And they took me to Collingdale police station. The next morning, before that, they said to me that, they said, how come you are Isaac and yesterday you have Frank Baden ATM, what do you call it, a debit card in your wallet? I said, he gave it to me. You can call him. And you know, police people, they will call him. So they called him. He even came with my sister to the police station. And they said, yeah, he gave it to me. That bit, because for you to have someone's ATM card in your pocket means that you are a fraudster, you are a criminal. So that bit was what? Settled. Now the bit of you overstayed is what they are going to talk about. And then they said to me that it is late, so you have to sleep in this cell. And then the following day will bring an immigration man and come and talk to you. I said, that is okay. I was sad. I was very sad. And in the cell, I asked the Lord that God, I was not on my way to the nightclub. I wasn't on my way to go and chase women. I wasn't on my way for any criminal errands. I was going to your temple to set up so people can worship you and worship you well. Why do I find myself in this place, in the cell? Because I've never entered into a cell before. I have never been handcuffed before. I was handcuffed like a criminal. Esther, I was lying down, my head was facing up, and I was sad, but I heard a voice. He said, Isaac, you are always preaching to people about the 4 P's, and that 4 P's is the man Joseph. You tell people, you preach with swag. You tell them that, and Joseph was put in the pit. That was the first P. From the pit, he was sent to Potiphar's house. That is the second P. From Potiphar's house, he entered into prison. He said, Isaac, you are in your 3rd P. That is why you find yourself in this dungeon. And he said, everything that you are going through, by the Lord, I am with you. Esther, when I heard the voice, everything changed, and I began to worship the Lord. Dr. Daniel, I was singing 3 songs. Mebo wudi mebo mrani sawe Israel osahini mebo wudi mebo mrani sawa Otuman kuma sambeji wa ye nyumu anajuya mihuni aminkao onyamio wahweni wonsanu adwuma eye wawa wona wotemi boni nyina cheye wa na wodi umoja na oroye hwe Israel kronkron hine Abraham Yankopon Isaac nyamia Jacob nyami Israel nyami wosana wofatase yudina ya onyami egwama wokumno ogwama wosana wofata onyami egwama wokumno ofata. Esther, I remember this song because it was one of my favorite songs. Then I said, Okonton Korea, Okonton Korea, Okonton Korea, Wodam and Sankomu Wodam, oh, Okonton Korea, Jesus, would you Okonton Korea, Okonton Korea? Well, the tears were coming out of my eyes. It wasn't tears of sadness, but tears of joy in the midst of adversity. Can somebody worship the Lord? Can you? Can somebody bless the Lord? Esther, it wasn't a pleasant experience. And they said to me that you are going to sleep there. Then the following night, I slept in the cells for 2 nights. And they brought the food and I cried. I said, what is this? But one thing that kept me was that God is still on the throne. The reason why we sing the Lord's song in a strange land, because I found myself in a strange land. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat and we hung our harps. We couldn't worship the Lord anymore, because how do I find myself in this situation, in a cell where I was handcuffed? And you are saying that God is God, but God is God. Because your situation does not change the position of God. It is the position of God that changes your situation. Let me finish in 1 minute. Let me finish. And Dr. Daniel, so the immigration officer came 2 days after in the morning. He said, young man, this that he's Nigerian. And I said, Oga, I want to go to my country. Anytime I see the police, I'm scared. And he was like, I was living in fear. But I said, I want to go. And the Lord said to me that because you know what, Esther, proud to that, I was having this urge to go back to Ghana. Listen, the Lord was the one that sent me to Ghana and prepared me and brought me back to the UK to speak his word. You know, but if you are not careful, you will mess that which God is doing with your life. Because if I have lived in this country, maybe I would have gotten my papers, but would I be speaking like the way I'm speaking today? No. We are not looking at the bigger picture, and that is why we can't sing the Lord's song in a strange land. He came and he said, if because there are 2 options, it is either you are deported or you leave voluntarily. I said, I like that English, voluntarily. I want to go. And he said, then this is simple, you don't need to do anything. And then they transported me to a detention camp. That one too, I was there for 3 days, because they have to gather people. But when I was there, when others were sad, I was glorious. Philip Patakba called me. He said, this is what the Lord said. He said, Jonah, when God sent him, he didn't want to go. God found a way and catapulted him to Nineveh. And I knew that God was taking me to Nineveh, prepare me and bring me back to this same land and glorify me. In the midst of adversity, can you thank the Lord? I thank God for my life. If I had not gone through adversity, I wouldn't be speaking the way I'm speaking. Because you know what gives me joy? When people say that, Pastor Isaac, you have blessed me. I remember in Ghana, there was a guy who was excited. You prayed for me, and that is it. Your word, the day you preach that message, my understanding of giving, my understanding when it comes to the things of God, spirituality has changed. To me, that is fulfillment. But you see, what I was going through was not meant for me. It was meant for other people to be blessed. Am I talking to somebody? Please be on your feet.